everyone, welcome to or back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Shay and I've been currently living in Bologna, Italy for the past 2 years. Usually I make videos about my life here in Italy and language learning tips, but today we're going to be talking about something a little bit different. As I've been sharing more about my life here in Italy, I talk about how I've been a freelance content creator and I've been getting a lot of questions about how I started freelance, what I do, the different projects I work on, how I find these projects, and so much more. So today I wanted to talk about how I got started, what I'm doing now, how I find projects, and basically just answer all of your questions. First, I'll give a little bit of history about how I got started freelancing. That way you know how you too can get started. And along the way, I'll also share some tips about how to get started and how freelancing works. And then towards the end of the video, I'm going to answer questions that you guys asked me on Instagram. So specifically questions that came from you that you're interested about. So hopefully we can get pretty much everything covered in this video. Obviously, there's a lot more to freelancing that is a little bit more complicated. So if you do have any other questions throughout the video, leave them in the comments below and let me know if I should make another video covering some other topics. But for now, let's get into it. Back during university, I actually studied communications and I did a lot of internships that were very journalism focused. So it helped me build up my portfolio because I had a lot of blog articles, website articles to add to my portfolio that I wrote throughout these different internship experiences. I also started my own blog because blogging always seemed very interesting to me. I've always loved writing, and as much as I enjoyed working on the projects for my internships, I also realized I wanted to work on some of my own content. So I wanted to write things that actually interested me and weren't just things that I was assigned to. So that is where my personal projects started. I also created a Fiverr account back in university and I got a few gigs writing some blog articles, website posts, stuff like that, but not a ton, just a little bit here and there. But this brings me to tip number 1. Even if you don't have professional work experience, make something of your own to use as sample work or to build your portfolio. So notice how I said I created my own blog. If you didn't have internship experience or work experience, you can just go ahead and start something on your own. If you want to be a graphic designer but you haven't had any actual professional experience yet, make your own website with your own samples. Post your work or your creative process on an Instagram page, start a new social media. If you want to be a copywriter but you can't find work yet, start a blog so that way you have your own samples. You don't need to wait to get some professional experience because trust me, I know how hard it is when you apply for something and they ask for 3 to 5 years experience, but you're like, but I'm entry level, how should I already have this experience? Try to make something of your own so at least you have samples of your work. Then after I finished university and I was still looking for a job, my dad actually helped connect me to somebody who was looking for someone to write articles for their website about hair care. So I was super excited because it was my first steady gig and I wrote, I think, about 1 to 2 articles a week, maybe just one really long one. So I did the research, writing, editing, stuff like that. And that was my first steady gig, but it also helped, again, build up my portfolio and showed that I actually had published work. So that brings me to my second tip is reach out to connections. Social media like LinkedIn is a great way to connect and network with people. Networking is what can really help you get some of your first gigs because you never know whose friend might be looking for someone. Maybe your parents know someone, maybe your relatives know someone, a friend of a friend, a family friend knows someone who needs a writer, a graphic designer, a social media specialist. You don't know until you ask. So you can post something on social media or LinkedIn just saying, here are my skills, here's what I'm looking for. Does anyone know anyone who can help me out? Of course, having a personal connection will always make it easier to actually get a gig. It makes you more trustworthy and it's obviously a little bit easier to get a gig that way. But it's not the only way, so don't worry if you don't have any sort of connections. Then also towards the end of college, I made my own YouTube channel. So if you've watched me from the very beginning, hello, thank you for sticking around for so long. I originally started my channel when I studied abroad and I just found that I enjoyed the process of making videos. For me, it was something so fun and I wanted to continue exploring that skill and I wanted to continue posting on YouTube. So I'm really glad that I did that because now 5 years later, I have built a great channel. I have so many samples of the work that I can do. I've worked with brands and it wouldn't have been possible if I didn't start making those videos 5 years ago. It also helped me learn so much about editing and I just learned through tutorials that I watched on YouTube. If I wanted to figure out how to do something that I saw someone else do in another video, I just searched how to do it. taught myself. And I actually was eventually invited to Adobe's creator camp for advanced creators because they saw my channel and my work. So they invited me to this program where they had live sessions talking about audio, color correcting, shooting, post-production, all that kind of stuff. And it was super beneficial for me to learn more, and I'm really grateful that they invited me to take this course for free. And then I was even chosen afterwards to lead a 1-hour live seminar talking about how to create more captivating YouTube videos, which was an amazing experience, and I'm also so flattered that Adobe chose me to do that. And now it's something else I can put on my resume. So again, another amazing experience with a really well-known brand that I got just because I started making these YouTube videos. It wasn't even related to any of my professional work experience. It was simply just my own passion project. So moral of the story is, even if you're kind of nervous to put your own content out there, do it because you really never know where it's gonna lead. Then as far as my actual professional work experience, I did work at a creative agency in Los Angeles for about 2 years before coming here to Italy. I used it as a learning opportunity. I worked as a social media manager and then eventually a senior community manager. So I learned a lot about the ins and outs of social media marketing, creating and planning content, working on creative campaigns for big TV series or upcoming movies, and that was very exciting. I was able to put a lot of impressive things on my resume, so I did actually manage TikTok's social accounts, like the actual TikTok US social account. I was managing that for a while. So that's something very impressive that I can put on my resume that I got from professional experience working at a creative agency. And it helped me further my skills like copywriting, social media management, content creation, video editing. That would be helpful for me later on with what I do now. But I still also simultaneously worked on my own blog and my YouTube channel while having this full-time job because those things were so interesting and exciting for me. They were still my passion projects, so I found the time, whether that was waking up early before work or continuing to work when I got home from my full-time job. So if you have a passion for something, it will shine through and you will be able to find time for it. That also leads me to my next tip, is that you should work on your passion projects while you have another job. I finally have become just a full-time freelancer because I've realized this is what I want to do and this is what makes me happy, but I don't think that I would have quit my job earlier, even though I still had this other stuff going on in the background, because I think it is really important to still have that stability so you can have the freedom to work on your own stuff in the background, but not have to rely on making a full-time income in case that stuff doesn't work out. I think you also need time to learn and grow and make mistakes because let's be real, like you're not going to start a YouTube channel or start your own graphic design business, start your own business at all and just be an overnight success. There's a lot of behind the scenes work that maybe you don't see from these people who are successful now. Maybe they spent a lot of time, a lot of years working on their craft, building up their skills, making mistakes. And I think you should do that while you still have the stability of another job. And I know it can be really, really hard to find the time, especially if you have a really demanding full-time job. But if you're passionate about it, you'll find at least some time to do it, even if that's taking a little bit of your weekend time to make some videos. Or you can at least try to get maybe a part-time job so the rest of the time you can work on your passion projects, whatever works for you. But in my experience, I think it's better to at least have something while you're still starting so you don't have everything riding on your passion project. Then once I finally got to Italy, I was still working remotely for that creative agency back in Los Angeles, but basically just contract work. I wasn't a full-time employee anymore. I still maintained a really good relationship with them, and so they wanted to continue working with me, and I do think I made a lot of great connections at that company that now, if I did want another type of job, I probably could reach out to some of these people who could help me out. So that's always great as well to get professional experience and connect with your coworkers who can maybe help you in the future. I really enjoyed it so much, and I realized that I wanted to have this kind of work schedule where basically I had my projects that I needed to do, but I could complete them on my own time. I could make my own schedule. I didn't have to go into an office and work a certain amount of hours every day and basically only be able to be in the office. I liked having the freedom to do my own things during the day, work a little, manage my time well, and I realized that maybe freelance is better for me. Fast forward to now, because I had some other part-time gigs, worked social media for another company, but now I decided to become full-time freelance. Many people think that if you want to become a full-time content creator, it means you want to be an influencer, and that's not necessarily true. I don't have goals of being an influencer. It seems really overwhelming to me, actually. I just like the process of creating content. You can make content for brands and not have to post them on your own social media. So this is typically called UGC, or user-generated content. This is basically what I'm focusing on right now, besides creating videos for my own personal YouTube channel, which I still love to do. I'll talk a little bit more about exactly what I do, but first I want to talk about how I got started, because I think a lot of people are ready to make the switch to becoming a full-time freelancer, or at least just freelancing part-time, and they want to know exactly how you can get started. So let's get into it. First, I built a portfolio on Canva. Canva already has so many nice templates, so even if you are not very good at design, like me, I'm not super great, don't worry, because Canva already has really pretty ones that you can choose and then just pop in your videos, your information, stuff like that. Put your past work examples on there, or like I said, if you want to create videos for brands but you haven't worked with any yet, you can just make your own from things you have around the house. If you want to get into beauty videos, make a video of you using a certain product, talking about why you like it, hair care products, things that you already have. It doesn't even have to be nice things. You can just make sample videos, so that way clients will see what kind of content they can expect from you. For example, here's my portfolio. I made this on Canva, and it shows a little bit of an introduction about me, as well as videos from things that I've made on my own, and also some past partnerships with brands. I also include product photography, some brands that I've worked with previously, and then a way you can contact me. Another good tip is to be active on social media. So if you want to start freelancing, a good idea could be just creating a whole new social media account to post your creative work on there. Because once I started posting on my TikTok, where I have like UGC focused stuff, as well as Instagram, YouTube, stuff like that, I really noticed a lot more people reaching out very quickly. Actually, I wasn't expecting to get that many emails from clients who said they saw my work on TikTok, who were interested in collaborating with me. TikTok, I would say, is a really fantastic place to do that, because you can get a lot of reach from people all over the world. And definitely be sure to put your email somewhere in your bio, so that way when clients do see your videos and they want a way to reach out to you, they know exactly how they can contact you. Because a lot of people make this mistake. They have amazing pages with a lot of great work, but then clients don't even know how to contact them. Maybe they can find an Instagram and DM you, but it's a lot better and more professional if you have a business email. So I just made one on Gmail. That way clients can contact you very easily. Because if you make it too hard for them to figure out how to contact you, they probably won't. For example, one of my ongoing clients right now found me from TikTok, and then just kind of discovered all of the other content that I've been creating, and they emailed me, and now I create about 2 to 3 videos for them every week, and it's like one of my main sources of income. So you never know. I also created an Upwork and Fiverr account. So these are websites where you can find gigs as a freelancer. You can apply, or clients can come to you. I've made about $1,000 on Fiverr so far, but that's over a span of like 5 months. The work might not be super steady unless you find a client who's willing to do an ongoing project. A lot of these have just been kind of like one-off video projects, but it's nice to at least put your work out there and clients will come to you. Or you can try Upwork, where you apply to jobs yourself. So basically there's a huge job board. Jobs are posted every single day, and you can just search through and find one that matches your skills, your pay requirements, stuff like that, and then you can apply. I have gotten 2 jobs so far on Upwork. It can be a little bit difficult because there's a lot of people applying, but if you are a really good fit, it can be a really good way to get those extra gigs. And overall, right now, let's go over my income sources as a freelance content creator. So first we have YouTube, and I make money from Google AdSense, but AdSense has definitely dropped a lot, I would say, in the past 2 years, because I used to make probably around $600-700 a month consistently, and I was really trying to get to that 1,000, but that never happened. Now I'm lucky if I make like $200 a month. So a lot of people who think, oh, I can make YouTube videos and make a ton from AdSense, maybe not. It depends. Every channel is different. But yeah, so I don't really rely on that to be very high, maybe about $200 to $300 a month. I make more on video sponsorships with YouTube. I try not to do more than 2 sponsored videos a month, Just because I don't want every single one of my videos to be sponsored, I still like making my own content that doesn't revolve around a client. Sponsored videos are definitely where YouTubers in general make a lot more than AdSense. But if you do decide to do sponsored content, make sure that you either use the product already and you enjoy it, or you're willing to try it and provide an honest review, because your audience will really start to hate you if you just post videos that aren't related to your content, or you can tell are just you're in it for the money. So I personally only work with brands that I've either used before. So a lot of these language learning things that I've used before will reach out to me now, and I'm like, oh, I used you when I first started learning Italian or whatever. So I'm like, yeah, of course, I would love to do sponsored video with you, because that makes sense for me and my channel. Then, as I mentioned, I also have that long-term client. So I have just that one ongoing client where I make 2 to 3 short form videos for them every week. They send me the briefs, outlines, and then I just make the videos. And this is my main income source. So basically this helps pay my rent, which is good. I like that I have this one ongoing project. So at least I always kind of have like a certain income every month, and then it can change based on my other projects. And that leads me into my other sources of income are from Fiverr or these one-off projects. So basically, if a client emails me looking for a video or some sort of project, these are usually clients who just want like 1 to 2 videos. And if it goes well, it's really nice because I've had clients return for another video. So that's always exciting. And that's why it's important that you communicate well, over deliver, just be really, really great to work with, because you never know in the future if they'll want something else from you. And then also digital products. I created a lot of digital products in the past. So I have a language learning guide, some like vocab worksheets, study planner, so many different things that I made in the past when I was really into digital products. And I'm really glad that I did that, because I still make some income every month from some of these. In the past, when I first was promoting them and they just came out, I obviously made a lot more, and now that's kind of dwindled a little bit. But to be honest, like I probably make about $200-300 a month still just from some of these digital products. I made them once and now I'm still getting this passive income, so definitely a nice thing to have as well. Okay, thank you so much for sticking with me. I know that this has been a lot of information, but as I've been saying this, I realized there's still so much I could talk about, so I definitely think I'll have to make some follow-up videos. But for now, let's answer some of the questions that you asked me on Instagram. First, how do you keep track of income for your taxes? As a freelancer, it can be really difficult. You have to be a very organized person. You can't just be making this money, sending out these invoices and not keeping track of everything, because at the end of the year, you will have to pay taxes. Don't forget. So what I like to do is I use basically a spreadsheet on Notion, because I use Notion for everything. I love Notion, but you can also just easily do this on Google Sheets or Excel. I have everything mapped out by month, and that way at the end of the month, I just make sure to keep track of all the income that I've made. So I have different rows of income that I made from YouTube, different sponsorships, Fiverr projects, long-term clients, digital products, basically just keeping track of everything I made that month. Then I also keep track of monthly expenses. So even though I'm making this income, I still have monthly expenses that go into my business. For example, my subscription to Adobe that I use for Premiere, Photoshop, also Canva Pro, as well as Epidemic Sound, which is what I use to find copyright-free music for my YouTube videos. So all of these things are basically expenses for your business that you should keep track of for your taxes, because chances are you're not just making income. There's probably also some that you're putting into your business. Then how do you invoice clients and get paid? I very simply just made an invoice template on Canva, and you can easily plug in just the information that you need, the type of project, whether that was a short form video, long form, quantity, the price of each, total, the date of the invoice, how you'd like to be paid, when you'd like to be paid, so usually within like 30 days. Then I just email these to the client, and I also keep track of all these invoices on a document folder in my computer, so that way I have these records. And then usually I don't have issues with clients paying me, so you can decide to do like a bank transfer or PayPal. I like to use Wise because sometimes I do have clients who pay in different currencies, and so far Wise has been the best when it comes to having smaller transaction fees, because when a client pays me through PayPal, PayPal takes out a lot and it's very frustrating. So I recommend Wise. How do you price your work? This is a very difficult question, and I still sometimes am like, am I pricing my work correctly? But I think I'm getting closer. I think I'm getting there. It's really hard if you don't have like a manager or someone to help you price your work if you're doing it all on your own. Do a lot of research. Look at people who have like your same skill set, what they're charging, if the quality of their work matches yours, and kind of get an idea of what their rates are so you can match that or adjust that. At least you have a ballpark idea. You'll also start to learn once you reach out to clients or clients reach out to you and you quote them your rates, and a lot of times people will disappear if they don't like your number, if it's too high. Or if you have people who accept right away, it might be too low. In the beginning, when I first started doing YouTube and sponsorships, I definitely had rates that were way too low. And now when I look back on it, I'm like, it's frustrating because the brand definitely took advantage of me, and that's very unfortunate because it will happen a lot when you first start out. I think it's always better to go a little bit higher, and that way the brand can negotiate down. Maybe if you're still good with a number that's a little bit lower, that's fine. But I would always aim to go a little bit higher because at least you can negotiate down to the number you actually are fine with, instead of quoting something lower and then maybe the brand was actually going to offer something higher. A good tip I like to use is if a brand asks you your rates, you can say, what's your budget for this project? Because for example, you might quote a rate of $150 for a UGC video, so a short TikTok video, but maybe the brand was willing to offer you $250, $200. So it's better to just say, what's your rate for this project? And they may get back to you with a range. Also, TikTok has helped me a lot, especially with UGC videos, something that I was really new to about how much to charge for a TikTok video. I used TikTok to look up like what people were charging, and a lot of people just straight up share their rates for their UGC videos, because you also want to take into consideration how much work you're doing. If you have a lot of editing to do, if you have to script the video or the client provides the script, if the client will be using your videos for paid media or organic, or if they want the rights to your video for years and years or forever, those kind of things will change the rate. The next question is, can you walk us through your typical workflow from receiving a client brief to delivering the final product? So when I first receive a brief, first of all, I have to know whether or not the client has already provided the script or not. If not, and I have to write my own script, I definitely make sure that I have all of the details they want included. If they want a certain call to action, if there's some sort of code or thing I'm supposed to mention, talking points that are crucial to include in the video. Then what I like to do is, for example, if it's for a short TikTok video, so UGC, I will basically do bullet points of the talking points and then build a script around that. So how can I make sure all of these points are said in the video in a natural way? So I start off with my hook. How can I grab people? What's the thing that I'm using to relate to people, or the problem I'm trying to solve for the audience? What's a good way to actually get people to stop scrolling? So I start with that, and then I build into the rest, and then I include the call to action at the end. I also kind of like to map out how I'll be filming this video. So if I need to get certain B-roll, if I'm not just going to be talking like this on camera the whole time, I want to change up the visuals. I also will make note of the different scenes that I need to record as well. Then I will go ahead and shoot the video, and then I usually edit within Adobe Premiere Pro, unless it's something very informal and I can edit on CapCut, which you can easily then use for TikTok. I like to edit the video, and if the client wants on-screen text or graphics, switching up the visuals, color correction, captions, just make sure to do all of that. Then when you send the client the video, make sure to watermark it, so you can just kind of write your name or like your username, whatever, and then make the opacity a little bit lower, because you don't want to send a client the final video without them paying you. Otherwise, they technically could just take your video and not pay you, which would be terrible. But to protect yourself, put a watermark on it. So I've done that, and then that way the client can see you've made the video, but they can't use it until you take the watermark off. So usually they'll pay you, and then you can send them the final video without the watermark. Final question, have you ever had to deal with difficult clients, and how did you handle it? I hoped that I would never have to deal with difficult clients, but I definitely have. I've had to deal with a client on Fiverr who was very frustrating and didn't really understand how difficult the work was that he was asking me to do. And I think he also didn't really like that my rates were high, but I know my worth and I know my rates, because a lot of people don't realize that you're also charging for your equipment for the time that it takes to set up. I don't have a home studio. If I have to set up my green screen, lights, recording equipment, the camera, tripod, all this stuff, that takes up time, and that should be considered work time because you're setting up the shot. I don't just walk into a studio and start shooting. You also have to do a lot of test shots. For this, for example, it was a script that he gave me that was not a well-written script that I had to edit and make a lot of edits because the grammar was off. It looked as if he recorded the script just like voice to text type thing because there was no punctuation. There were times where I was like, is this the right word? And then reading the script, it sounded very strange. I didn't know if like AI wrote it or something. I said to him that he needs to make edits to the script because I was like, I don't want to record and then have you say, oh, you need to redo this part because the script is wrong, because that shouldn't be my issue if you send me the script. And then he said, make edits where you see needed. This was about a topic that I have no idea, I'm not an expert in. So the fact that he said, make edits where needed, like this is something, you hired me to present this topic that I didn't write the script. I don't know what this is about. Like I can't make edits about this. So that was already frustrating. And then of course for a video that was a script of about 1,000 words that I already felt like I was undercharging for. He wanted me to include one revision, meaning like one reshoot. And I said, if you want a full reshoot, I'm gonna charge for that because my rate doesn't include 2 videos of 1,000 words, basically. Then I explained to him why I would charge for a reshoot because I have to reset everything up. I have to redo everything, reset up the teleprompter. I can't get a 1,000 word script correct all in one go the first time. So these kind of things, if you have to explain to your client, if you have to justify your rate, you can try that. But I also made note that I will never work with this client again because I worked with him a few times and I just decided enough. Sometimes it's not worth putting yourself through that. And that's the beauty about freelance is that you can choose the projects you want to work on. And then of course I also had a client who didn't pay their invoice. I had a YouTube sponsor who conveniently just always had an excuse about why I didn't receive an invoice. It was about 3 months late. And when they first offered me this rate within their first email, it already was about the rate that I charged. I was like, yeah, of course, it's amazing. It's a great rate. And they also sent product. And so now I'm wondering if they just hope that content creators forget and don't follow up. Because it's very strange because when I did follow up, they acted like I was rushing them, even though the contract was to be paid within 30 days. So I waited the 30 days and then I followed up and yeah, of course we're still processing the payment, but I selected to be paid through PayPal. It wasn't even like a bank transfer or anything, so it should be instantaneous. They were like, we sent the payment, it should appear soon. Again, PayPal should be quick. So many emails back and forth of, oh, sorry, we had an issue this weekend with the finance department, all these kind of things. So finally I reached out to another content creator who I searched on YouTube, other people who had worked with them, and I reached out to her. I was like, hey, did you have any problems? She sent me screenshots of basically the exact same excuses they gave me, and she had worked with them like months prior. So I was like, oh my God, I feel like because there was also a time where I almost said, whatever, like I'll just take the video down and like not bother them anymore because I was kind of over it at this point. And they already gave me products, so I was like, whatever, I guess at least I have the product. So I'm really wondering if they just want the content creators to hopefully just like forget. Finally, this other girl told me that what she did is said, I'd like to talk directly to someone within the finance department. And that's what I did. And I said, I'd really like to know what the actual problem is. I sent an email. Minutes later, the woman from the finance department just sent me an email that said payment done or something and sent me a screenshot of the PayPal. Not even like apologies, whatever. Like they seemed mad at me for asking to be paid. Can you imagine? Anyways, sometimes that will happen and it's frustrating, but it's not your fault, okay? Obviously you should get paid for your work. People shouldn't be mad that they have to pay you. Let me know if you have other questions because there were a lot more, but this video is already very long. And I love talking about this topic, but I can't answer every single thing in this video. I know there's still a ton to go over, but I hope that this video helped and I hope that it gave you some ideas about how you can get started if you are interested. Let me know in the comments below your questions, thoughts. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to like and subscribe and I will see you all again in the next video. Bye.